it to be magic. There you go. Oh, well, I do encourage authenticity. So, you get me clumsiness and everything.
Oh, it does say live there now, so that's
okay.
fab.
Brilliant. So we'll maybe just give a couple of minutes just for anyone who wants to join us live. So I think quite a few of these videos will be sort of watched on replay because of timings and what have you.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll see how we go. So have you had a good day so far?
I've had a fantastic day. It's getting a bit crazy. Work is getting really busy, and it's been fantastic. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, bless you. You've got such a lovely smile as well when you're like,
Thank you. My name means to smile. The best.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so nice.
I know. I love it. It's just my granddad kept my name, and it means to smile in Arabic. So I was just like, I love that. That's nice.
Ah, okay. Well, my name means pleasant company.
Hey, like that. I'd agree.
We keep it down, yeah? Right, so we'll get started then. So, hello, assalamu alaikum, everybody. Thank you for joining us. If you're joining us live, then please put a little comment so we know that you're with us. If you're joining afterwards, it'd be great if you could just put replay and any questions, that you want to put to Tabassum, then we can come back to that. So, welcome. Thank you for joining us.
You.
So let's start with, because we know you're an emotional mastery coach, but can you tell us a bit about your story and how you got there, how you got here?
Yeah, 100%. So where to start? Okay, the best part is when so I had a corporate career for 10 years as a research scientist. I absolutely loved my job. Yeah, I adored my job. Yeah, it was really awesome. Worked for one of the top pharmaceutical companies. We worked actually on the previous big vaccine, which I think may have been the bird flu one. And it was a fantastic job. What happened to really spiral the events of becoming an entrepreneur was really I got married and I had babies. And this entire time I was completely convinced I was going to go back to work and continue with the corporate career, put the kids into the nursery across the road from work. But something changed at the birth. So I had an extremely traumatic birth, almost losing baby and myself. So I think it shook everything into perspective. And I was like, right, I do not want to leave this baby and leave him to be looked after by somebody else. I would love to be that stay-at-home mum. I had lots of financial worries, and I was just like, okay, how are we going to make this work? But at the time of my maternity leave coming to an end, there was voluntary redundancies at work, and I thought, God, this is a sign, so I'm just going to take it. I got a wonderful payout, which is also useful, and I just decided to be the stay-at-home mum. And again, stay-at-home mum, it was the first time in 16 years that I'd ever been at home. I wasn't at my home, I was now at my in-laws' house, so it was very, very new territory. I was also a mum for the first time, so that was really like new ground. And all of a sudden I felt all these emotions, all these different things that I went through. So I believe I went through postnatal depression, although I wasn't really diagnosed. I was too scared to go to the doctors, but we'll come on to that in a minute. But the journey of that just started my journey into entrepreneurship. I'd owned a business when I was about 21 and had to shut up shop because my parents were not very well as I was younger. And as a result of that, I was like, I can just start I can start a business again, and that would just get everything going. And what I realized was starting businesses were very different in this day and age of social media. It was completely different to when I started 10 years ago. And secondly, I just didn't know what I wanted to do. It was all about just wanting to make some money to get by through this difficult period of time. But also, I also felt really guilty because I wanted to be more than a mum. And I felt so bad for saying that until very recently, actually. It was really like, okay, it should be enough for me just to be mum and just to be wife. But I kept on looking for more, and there was a lot of guilt around that. So that kind of spiraled me into many businesses, one of them being network marketing. And for those who are in network marketing know that it's got wonderful personal development stories within that. And I came across personal development and just became really like clung to it. I was just like, wow, this stuff is amazing. And I had so many traumatic stories of like what people had really struggled their way through, and I thought, gosh, mine doesn't even sound half as bad as that. And I kept on wondering how all of these people are making their businesses such a success, and how they're getting into, you know, thousands and millions. And I just kept on thinking, what's wrong with me that I can't do it? And it got to a point where I came across another coach online who had previously worked with in affiliate marketing, and her posts started to become really different and really interesting about emotions. And I just started to go, oh my God, that's me, or oh my God, she gets me. And I just like, it felt like she was just talking to me constantly. Which was when I reached out for coaching. So that was the start of my journey.
Wow. Okay.
It's a big story.
Big story, yes. But there was one thing that made me think. So you said about this guilt about wanting to be more than a mum and a wife, which I think actually a lot of us feel, don't we, as women, full stop. But then I think as well from some of our cultures and backgrounds, a lot of us a little bit more. So why is it that you felt it, do you think? What was around that for you?
Well, what was really interesting was I hadn't felt it up until that point in life of like, obviously it was a life or death situation. It was a very real situation to be in. And I think at that time, when you have near-death experiences, I think it does really bring new things to life for you. Being raised by a very progressive thinking mum and dad, particularly dad, I've never experienced that of like, I can't do many things. Like he always, my dad always encouraged us to do like wear lots of hats and enjoy all the hats that you wear. But moving into my in-laws, they were very the culture I think was a massive impact on the way of thinking around here. It was just different, and all of a sudden I just felt really wrong for wanting more than just my child, basically. Even though I knew that, you know, Khadija Islam, she was like an entrepreneur and a parent and wife, you know, and wore so many hats. It's almost like that got pushed to the back and I completely forgot about it, and I just started to focus on what people were telling me I should do.
Okay, so how did you overcome that then?
Yeah, so throughout the coaching, it was really interesting because I knew I wanted to be at home and have a business. And I thought, do you know what, at least when the kids go into school, by this time I'd had my second son, the kids will go into school and I will need something to keep myself busy and like productive and, you know, have an interest of my own. And it was through the coaching that actually my coach actually said, do you know what you want to do? And I'd obviously continued on the whole theme of network marketing, and she's like, well, have you ever considered coaching? And all of a sudden it was like every single piece in my life started to fit into place. I'd always wondered, why I'd been through certain things, why I'd experienced, why I'd always grown up thinking that I was oversensitive, and realized like that. And in my coaching business, it's one of my, what I call one of my superpowers. So a lot of people say that you're so empathetic, you get it, you can get into our shoes, and that's one of the things that makes me different to other coaches, which I think is fab. So all of a sudden I had this whole like, whoa, all these skills or all these things I actually thought were negatives are actually really positives, and I can use them in my business. So that was what really spiraled into a coaching business.
Wow. And I love that, because that is, you do sort of work as well with empaths, and you mentioned introverts as well.
Yes.
So, can you sort of tell me a little bit more about that then? So how have you, tell me a bit more about that.
Yeah, I think coming from a background of being what I think I was an introvert, I was a middle child of like 4 children, so I think I had middle child syndrome and all of these labels that we like to label ourselves with. But it was mainly I wanted to show women that no matter if you're an introvert, extrovert, it shouldn't affect how successful that you can be in business. So a big part of it, and as you know, Joe from Chocolate PR, big part of it was getting visible, because now I'd launched this business. I just co-authored in a best-selling book, which was like literally the groundwork for what I was about to do. And I was suddenly really scared of being really visible. And I was like, oh, how am I going to get clients if I'm scared to be seen? So that's when obviously I got introduced to Joe and Chocolate PR and did Dare to Be Seen, the program. And that was kind of quite life-changing, because in that, not only obviously there was a supportive group of women, there were people there that I just thought, I still had imposter syndrome. I didn't believe that I should have been there, this belief grew from all the different things that I invested in, from all the modules, and it was just a phenomenal experience of actually realizing that I have a purpose, and I need to get myself out there, not even just for me, but for the women that are going through something similar and need that. Yeah.
Wow. Because Jo did mention when she introduced me to you, she said that when you'd first sort of gone on her visit, to help you get more visible, that you were shy and quiet.
Yeah. My clients don't believe that now, because I come on live all the time in the group. I'm live on my profile. I'm very what they consider out there, but I can't even explain how shy I was. I didn't want to come live on my profile. I didn't want to share my story, because again there was shame around that as well, and again it was more cultural as opposed to religious. So there was a lot of that around, and Joe really just really helped me understand why sharing my story was so important, to ensure that I helped the right people. So yeah, it was a phenomenal experience.
Okay. So for you, sort of what I'm hearing is what was helping you was getting clear that you actually were doing this as this was your purpose, this was your mission, and that helped you sort of step up.
Yeah.
And become more visible. So that's amazing. Yeah. And so just earlier you mentioned about the fact that you're sensitive, and that, because I was a very sensitive child, and I think as well, sometimes it can affect us more what happens around us, can't it? But so how do you is that what part of what you do? You help women see something and turn it into like a superpower? Is that right?
Yeah, that's the lovely way to put it. But yeah, just how to use I think this is the problem when people talk about emotions and women being emotional creatures. It's seen as a very negative thing, but actually we've been given powerful emotions for a reason. I know men feel emotion as well, and that's aside from what we're talking about today. But I think women have just grown to feel like having their emotions, or like if they get upset, or if they cry about something, or if they're sensitive about something, it's just really stigmatized as being something super negative. She's crying again, and it's just understanding, one, what those emotions mean to you. Secondly, it's just really helping women let go of the trauma around stuff that has happened. And let's face it, it's life. We're all going to experience life on different levels, and that's fine. But being able to let it go and empower you in a way that you can move forward and actually live your best life, because that's what the key is, really. It's just to really live the life that you want to live.
Wow. Yeah, I'm loving this conversation. Okay, so can you tell me more about emotional mastery then? Is there more to it?
Yeah, I mean, I was asked to summarize this for a copywriter I'm working with, and I'm just like, I find this so hard to fit into words. But it is literally, it's having that belief in yourself, letting go of the old negative emotions, so the stuff that causes you trauma. What often happens with us is, this is a huge generalization, by the way, but what often happens is that something will occur in our lives. So for example, if I take the situation of the trauma around the birth with my son, and all of a sudden you start to apply those emotions to what we call similar situations. So something that causes fear, or you start to have I was completely with my eldest son, I was really in protective mode. And you've heard of women being mama bears and just being there for their children. When I look back now and reflect on my journey, I was a bit over. I wouldn't let people even go near him, because I had this fear of what was going to happen to him. And as a result, it was damaging relationships. I wasn't allowing my in-laws to have a relationship with my son, even my husband to a certain extent. I felt like I knew better than everybody. which I understand to a certain extent mothers do, but it was the emotional stuff that was really getting my way. And letting go of that stuff has empowered me to be able to like leave my kids with people babysitting, trustworthy family members. It's been a life-changing experience, and this is something that sounds so small, but it impacted my life in such a big way. I felt like I couldn't leave the house, or I couldn't do anything without taking them with me. So you can imagine that was really disempowering for me as a person. I didn't have any me time. I refused to go out anywhere alone by myself. So it all of a sudden became all about this one thing. So to get emotional mastery was to just move away and understand the learnings around that trauma, and move away and actually say, do you know what, I accept that this has happened. There's a reason that it's happened. There's great learnings in this, which there were many. It really made me appreciate life and time and human life in general. And then I could just move on and live my life in an empowered way. So it was phenomenal.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. And I think as well, it's important, isn't it, to be kind to ourselves, and that no matter these are things that maybe we're doing unconsciously, aren't we? Yeah. But like you say, take the learnings from it and then be able to move on and empower yourself with it. So that's fantastic. So what if there was somebody watching who maybe felt a bit stuck, or felt like they couldn't move forward, and they were maybe had all these emotions going on? What sort of advice would you give them for maybe the first step?
The scariest step, I believe, just going back to that time, was reaching out for help. I think there was a lot of, specifically for me, there was a lot of shame around reaching out for help. I didn't want people to know that I was getting help, or I didn't want people to think there was something wrong with me. In that mindset, there's also that whole idea that something's wrong with everybody else and it's not me. So just to accept that,
blaming others,
just to accept that, you know what, part of this is, I wouldn't say you're doing, but you're a contributor in some form, which has taken me a long time to say, and I've got friends on here that are watching probably laughing, but it's just understanding that there is help out there, because that's the other thing. I didn't even know what emotional mastery was. I didn't know what was out there. I didn't know like this was even a thing. I didn't even know coaching was a thing at that time. So just to understand that there is help out there. It sounds like when you first come across it sounds like such a long shot, and you think, oh God, like that sounds amazing. It sounds too good to be true. But having gone through the process myself as a client, I can assure you, as long as you're committed to wanting change, it will definitely come for you.
That's amazing. And I think there's a bit of stigma in not society, but within sometimes some communities as well, isn't it? About reaching out for help, that especially as women, I know sometimes it's almost like we've got to hold the family together. We've got to be the one who's strong. And another thing we tend to do as women as well is put everybody first, and we're bottom last, aren't we? But one thing I learned, it was a doctor who pointed it out to me, and said that, you know, if you're not looking after yourself at the top, everything else is going to fall down. So you've got to look after yourself.
I totally agree with that. And I think that's one of the things that it's one of the integral things that we teach is definitely you put yourself first, and that's a really difficult thing to do if you don't understand that. If you've never done that, you almost think I have so many women saying, but that's so selfish. And just thinking, yes, it is. And it's okay to be selfish in that way, so you can give the best of yourself to others as well.
Exactly. But yes, there is that sort of selfish. And I think I know, especially in the way I was brought up, that was like a horrible thing to do. You kind of, you weren't to be selfish. It was about looking after everybody else. Yeah. But you're right, if we fall down, then that's it.
Exactly.
Okay, so yes, sorry. Okay, can I ask, with the emotional mastery, because you say you didn't even know it was about, you didn't know coaching, did you have any thoughts or challenges around, as a Muslim lady, how to do coaching, or whether it aligned with your values from that respect?
I think because I signed up with a Muslim coach, I think I felt a lot more reassured at that point, because I'd worked with a couple of coaches before, and one of the coaches I'd worked with before wasn't from my culture. She was from a different culture, and there were certain things that she we talked about, and it didn't fit with what my values were. So I kind of sought somebody that was more from my culture and that understood how things work, and I did find that a lot more useful, somebody who understood my beliefs and my values. Yeah, that was really important. But then, having said that, I've since worked with coaches that are not from the Muslim background and just understand that I'm very spiritual in that respect, and I kind of get a very good response with regards to, this is what your beliefs are, and they're respectful and work around those, as opposed to see them as like a barrier of some sort. So initially, definitely, I think one of the things that was really important to me, that I needed to work with somebody who understood the religious values and probably the cultural as well. So yeah. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, to work with a coach anyway, it's very important to get aligned with the same values, isn't it? So yeah, but that's interesting. Thank you. And do you have any role models that you look up to?
Gosh, so many so many amazing women that are online and coaches that are online. There's so many to name, but specifically, and I think this is something that's come out of coaching, is looking at Khadija radiallahu anha. Like, she, for me, she epitomizes everything that I want, work and strive towards. She's just and I think I look for role models in the modern age that are like running life like she was. So like, you know, having the children, having the family, having the business. So my role model would be my coach, who's fantastic, and I definitely she was such an inspiration. I'm still working with her 3 years later, so she's phenomenal. Wow. And she's always been an inspiration to me. But she again epitomizes the values that Khadija radiallahu anha also had. So definitely. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Okay. And what would you say then so say you were talking to yourself at the beginning of your entrepreneurial journey, what sort of advice would you give to yourself then that you've maybe learned along the way? Because I know there were a few things last time we talked that you said you're sort of telling others because you've learned it, haven't you, further down the line?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that I thought I would be handing my money over to somebody, they would do stuff to me, and I'd be fit. So I think that was the biggest learning that I had, and literally that wore off within about three sessions, 3 weeks of working with my coach, because I quickly realized this is about the work that I'm going to do on myself. So I think that's one of the biggest realizations I had. It wasn't something that you just throw money at. You need to really be at a point where you're really ready for this. But then on the same token, I don't think you're ever really ready. There's something just in your mind that knows that something needs to change. So that's key. The second thing is to know that there's huge ups and downs. I think when people get into this, I remember saying to my coach, when I started, I said, great, I'm just never going to feel emotions again. And she cracked up laughing, because she's like, no, that's not what this is. We're not doing that. You're human and you need your emotions, and it's really important that we have emotions. So I think the up and down of the journey, the ups and downs that we experience, that you always can have an evolution. So, you know, this is a constant process. You're evolving constantly as a human being. You're growing constantly. There's that very famous Mark Twain saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And I love that, because that's so true. That is, I think, the root thing of this entire journey, is that you are always growing. Does that mean you always need coaching? No, not necessarily. This is quite life-changing when you have it. But when you kind of know that you reach a plateau almost, and something needs to change again. So yeah, just embrace the opportunity, embrace the challenges that come with it, and just give it time. Be patient, because I think that's the other thing. I was in a hurry. I wanted it yesterday, because I'd been through so much pain. I was carrying it with me, and I was just like, I just want this done now. And I often hear my clients say, I just want this done now. And it's like, it's not something that's done, it's something we're doing together. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. So what about, because I know that your business itself has you've got quite busy.
Oh, it's rocketed. Like, I was just talking to somebody about this. Yeah, beyond belief, actually. Yeah.
Well, mashallah. So, so you yourself are now influencing, even without even knowing, I suppose. You're now sort of becoming a leader because there are others looking up to you and thinking, "Wow, you know, look what she's doing."
Yeah.
So, what are your qualities as a leader, do you think, that you're embodying that make others think, wow, I mean, you know, like you say, you're getting busy, so you're attracting. So what do you think you're doing?
I think I am learning to balance. It's a constant learning to balance. I think there's lots of plates spinning right now, and I think because often I post a lot of personal stuff on social media, so I think people see that I cook, I clean, I'm still the housewife, I'm still the mum, I still get, you know, have to do the washing and have to do, I don't have, you know, maids and stuff. And I think just understanding that I actually enjoy that part of my life. I do. I like being the housewife and all of that. But then there's this other side for me that wants success in an area that's more for me, just for me, and it's a career option. It's helping other women. So I think with me, there's like you said, I'm an empath, so being empathetic is really important. Compassion is really important to me. Integrity is very important, and I think those kind of qualities is what people are often looking for other people in their life like that, and then just to go for something without being almost worried about it not working out. So I think people can see that now, but again, in the earlier parts of my journey, I just didn't have that trust. I just needed to learn to let go and actually trust and just go with what felt right. So just trusting in yourself. Yeah.
Trusting in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So I like that, letting go. So letting go of what, the outcome, or?
Yeah, mostly the outcome, because I think that's the other thing. We've all got our lives planned out, and we've decided we're going to do this by 30, this by 40, and sometimes life doesn't work out that way. But just really letting go, and yeah, no, it really doesn't. But just really letting go and understanding that it's okay if life doesn't work out that way, but there's other options, there's other ways of doing things. So yeah, letting go.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. And so this is a question. How do you think? Because we need to raise. This is a belief of mine, that we need to balance the scales, and we need to raise more women into leadership roles.
Yeah.
What do you think we can do to do that? You know, as women who are maybe leading the way, what more can we do to help others who are maybe aspiring and want to do that?
Yeah, I think it's really important for women to understand that just because the thing is, you can be a leader in your home as much as you are in your career, and I think that's what people get the disconnect from. It's not about having just a great career path. It's about being a leader in all areas of your life, and I think, you know, when you grow up with that mindset of like you can have one or the other, you can either have like a great career or you can have a great family life. I think what we need to really help Muslim women understand is that you can actually have it all. You can have it all, and you can, if you learn to balance things in a way that's holistic to you, because that will also be personal to everybody, and definitely raise amazing children, have an amazing marriage, and have an amazing career as well, and do work that you absolutely love and are passionate about. So it's really important to understand that it all comes back down to the self and what's important to you. Like you need to work with, if because I have lots of women that come to me, and now that I'm training coaches as well, they don't want to be coaches, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you love your life the way that it is, that's great, and we can work on improving those areas of your life. It's not about having a career or having you know, the children. This is the other thing, you don't have to have children to be successful. There's all these cultural, and I do think they're cultural, I'm not sure they're actually religious, but they're cultural limiting beliefs that people have put themselves and they've boxed themselves in, that I don't have any value unless I have children, I don't have any value unless I have a high paid job, I don't have any value unless I'm married. You know, there's all these things, and I think we need to let go of those.
Yeah, definitely. And the other side of it is that if you just want to be, if you want to be a mum, and that's so important to you and nothing else, then that's fantastic as well. It's whatever's important to you, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%.
Brilliant. Okay. Right, let's think. So what would you say is a common myth about Muslim women who are already in leadership roles that you'd like to sort of debunk?
Oh, that's a really good question. Oh, okay. Already in leadership, that the one that they okay, that the other side of life doesn't matter to them. So the home life. So women that I often see that people think that women who are in leadership roles, they don't think they have another side. They don't think they have family, or want to be the wife and stuff like that, but enjoy doing all the recreation, because I love like cooking for my family now and stuff like that, but I actually enjoy that part of it. So even though I'm what is considered a leader, I still have that side, and I consider myself a leader in that side of my life as well. So just, yeah, I'd say that's quite a big thing.
Yeah, I know. And I've heard some women, especially who are in the public eye, I've had people say, what are you doing? Go home to your children, go home to your, go home and go home.
Yeah.
So, okay. Right. So this is another little one. So if you had 10 minutes that you were put on prime TV and the world was going to see it, what message would you like to get out there?
Put yourself first.
Right.
Okay. And there's a reason, like, and I know that probably message would be a bit like, not very well received in many cultures, but because what people don't understand is putting yourself first is putting everyone else first. It's very closely related. So I think what people say, even when I ask clients to start putting themselves first, even when I was asked to start putting myself first as a client, I was absolutely shocked. It was just a real like, well, how is that going to help? And actually what I've realized is it's helped more than anything before. So the more you learn to put yourself first and actually fill your cup, the more that you can help others. And that's in all areas of your life, whether that's family, people, neighbors, extended family, friends, whoever it is, colleagues, people that you work with, you will be able to do so much more if you have your cup filled up. So yeah, that would be the big message.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm just going to have a quick check and see if we've had any questions or anything. I don't know if you can see it on yours, but where are we?
Can't see any questions.
Oh, there's 10 comments, so I think afternoon. Okay. Oh, right, yeah. So Nazma's saying it's huge, reaching out for help, and feeling such as ashamed. Farzana's saying it's definitely a journey of ups and downs, and we can definitely have it all. Fantastic. Okay, so to sort of wrap up, do you have a self-care routine that you follow, or not necessarily a routine, but what do you do to help for yourself?
So there's a few things that I do that really, really help. And again, I use these as and when they're tools as and when I need them, but there's some things that I do a bit more regularly. So before lockdown happened, I used to have a weekly coffee by myself, and I used to take a book and just
I love that. Yeah.
I miss my weekly coffee. So at the moment we've resorted to bubble baths. So that works. So we're good with that. That's my weekly treat to myself when the kids are in bed. So I just that switch off time. There's also I gratitude journal and journal as well. So there's a method of journaling that I use that I love. And I use once a week, I have this time to myself where I really reflect. I just reflect on my week, think about what went really, really well, think about the things that I really want to improve, think about what's not working, what's working. And it's almost like the thing that I ask the clients to do at the end of the coaching sessions, I do it with myself once a week, and it's been phenomenal, because what happens is in that time of reflection, I just start to learn even more about myself, and I start to become even more gentle with myself, and I learn new things. So that to me is massive self-care. I mean, aside from the prayer and the meditation, which is always part of the routine, but yeah, that's definitely
I love that. And do you write that down when you're doing the self-reflection in that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge writer. I know for some people they're not, and that's okay. You don't have to be. You can definitely do this in your mind and just like take an hour to yourself. But I quite often will go out for a walk and actually really have a think about it, come back and write some stuff down. If not, it's just even in my mind just to process things in that way. Because, you know, that's it's one of the things as women we don't give ourselves is time and reflection. Yeah. So just to give yourself that break for an hour or so, just to reflect on how you're doing, check in with your emotions, see how you're feeling, what's triggering you this week and what's not. Just check in with yourself.
Love that. Okay, so thank you so much. And I've just out of interest, is there any books that have made a big impact on you that you might what's the word, not recommend? Right,
so this is this is going to sound like a personal plug, but I do recommend Courage is My Crown. It's a collection of, it's the book that I featured in, but the reason for that is because there is 9 other magnificent stories in there that even when I read for the first time, I was like, wow, like when you read those stories of empowerment of like Muslim women, it's phenomenal. It's really it's the kind of book I was really looking for as a teenager or my late teens when I was going through things that are difficult. So I do recommend that.
That's good to know for the younger generation as well. Okay,
so there is definitely that there. I will say go back to the Quran, because I've done that very recently, and that's actually, if you really read and really study it, learn like the messages and the stories, it all is very interrelated with personal development as well, so perfecting your character. So I think that's really key. There's a couple of other books that have been really, really life-changing for me. The Success Principles by Jack Cranfield, that has changed my life with my business. That is definitely it was actually given to me by my brother-in-law, so that was really interesting. But he was saying that I was like a bit wobbly around business, and he's like, read this and then you'll definitely feel better about things. So that's been quite life-changing. Miracle Morning, so that's fantastic.
I've got that one.
I think they're the main ones that have really, really changed my life.
Brilliant. Okay, it's interesting you say that, because the interview I've got this afternoon with Amina, she's actually studied the Quran, and she taught, basically it's the best personal development book.
It really is. Yeah.
You sort of like look at it with that in mind, and I'm excited to hear how she's going to sort of connect it to us.
So, I'll be sure to tune into that.
Right, well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been really, really interesting talk. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. No, thank you for having me.
I'll just double check we've not got any questions, but I think it's just no, hang on, there's a few more comments.
Oh.
Book. Oh, lovely.
Thank you.
So I know that's something I used to love doing, but I think especially when you're a mum, is just I used to love going to Costa, like you say, with a book, and I didn't care that I was on my own. That's never bothered me. I like my own company. It'll come soon.
It's coming. It's on its way.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, everybody that's been commenting and watching, and we'll see you this afternoon, and thank you again for coming on.
Thank you. Take care.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.